I'm Kat, and I am gonna cosplay Captain America, because I have the body type for that, right? So this video is a tutorial, part one, of my boot covers that I'm doing. In case you're wondering, this is for Captain America Civil War costume. Um, so this video is going to be covering the base shoes and what I suggest for that, as well as how to make the pattern. Um, I Oh my god, my friend's calling me. Bucky, no! Oh my god, that was hilarious. So as I was saying, this tutorial will cover what I suggest for the base shoes, as well as how to create a boot cover pattern, as well as how to use a tracing wheel. Fun stuff. Uh, I will also, I think I say this in the video, but I will also be providing reference images on my Tumblr, which I will link. I think I already said that, but I will provide them on my cosplay Tumblr. So yeah, I'll explain more about our costumes specifically. Me and my friend who's cosplaying Bucky. Dog! um, Me and my friend who's cosplaying Bucky specifically. Um, just to give an overview, I definitely will be back with more videos, but for now, enjoy this boot cover tutorial. So we're starting this off. A little tipsy. I just came from a going away party for a friend and had a couple of drinks, and now, if you're wondering, this is Flying Dog Blood Orange. I recommend it. It's an IPA. Anyway, that's also why I'm actually wearing makeup in this one. So part one of this really long video will be your base shoes. It's pretty easy. The gist of it is to look at his soles in the references that I will provide on my Tumblr. I'm trying to find a shoe that is similar to that. Sitting on my floor so I can reach things better. But the way that these boot covers work is that there will be like a strap going under the heel, and it only covers part of it. So they're technically gaiters. If you want to look that Gaiters, good drunk speller. So I'm gonna go over a few options for my own shoe collection that I think would be bad options, and then I'll go over the good ones. So the first shoe that I'm gonna show is my Puma sneaker here. You might look at it and think, oh, these will be comfy. They're black. I'll just add black laces and then paint all the silver parts black. But the problem with this shoe is, even though it would be comfy, I would love to wear these for Captain America. The sole is completely flat on the bottom. So if you choose a shoe like that, the strap will rub away from just contact with cement and dirt and city ground. and eventually they will break. So you do want something with a distinguishable heel. A bad option, speaking of things with heels, would be this. Let's see. I mean, you can go with this sort of heel if you want. The problem with these, if you want to have shoes that look as close to caps as possible, is that, what kind of soldier would wear this kind of heel in combat? I always pick shoes based on what this person's going to be doing, and kind of start from there. So, yeah, let's go over some of the better options. So this right here is a Chelsea boot. You want to go for something comfy because you're in cosplay. So this is a really plain boot, and you could add boot covers to easily. I know these are comfy because I bought these for work, for retail on my feet for at least 8 hours a day. And these survived through that, and I have also worn these for my Officer Jenny cosplay. I know they're not accurate for that, but it's what's comfortable for me, because I have a bad knee. So you can see the heel isn't too tall. I probably should have picked a not black background and a not black shirt. But the heel is not too tall. The toe isn't pointy at all. It's nice and rounded. Yeah, this would be a pretty good option. These would also be an alright option. I've worn these for cosplay as well. I wore these for Amy Pond, from The Girl Who Waited. So, again, the heel's not too tall. The sole is pretty thin, though. Excuse me. I burp so much when I drink beer. And it has a rounded toe. It'll get the job done. Out of the shoes that I have, it's not my choice. Obviously, I'll show you my choice. The next best option are these kind of fake docks. So it goes a little bit up. It's not as apparent, but it does go up. Oh, geez. It does go a little up at the heel. They're plain black. And the actual sole, while it's not black like Chris Evans' shoes, they're pretty thick. They look like actual combat boots. So that would be a good one if you have docks. Especially if you have docks with like a black sole, that would be good. So these are the shoes that I will be using and that I have already made my pattern off of. I drew all over these in high school. These are some old uniform shoes I had from high school. And like I said, there's my face. So it doesn't matter that this is not a boot because we'll be covering that up. The sole is actually really accurate to what Chris Evans has going. It's a black rounded toe. Something like this would be good. I would suggest looking in your shoe collection. If you know anyone that went to private school, they might have had to wear something like that or like this. The most important thing, though, is that this sole looks like a soldier would be fighting in it. For fabric, so the lining, you're going to want any basic, cheap, plain cotton, anything you have lying around, preferably dark in color. I'm using a black, I think it is a broadcloth, I don't know. I don't have anything with me, but it is literally like the cheapest quilter's cotton you can find at any fabric store. This is just to reduce bulk in your sewing machine, and also it is cheaper than buying twice as much faux leather as you need. The next fabric, the majority of it, I have my faux leather wrapped on a dowel so there aren't permanent creases. But so many layers. The next thing you'll need is some brown, really dark brown faux leather. This is leftover from a cosplay. I know it looks black, but I swear to God, it's brown. It's just dark. But it is leftover from a previous cosplay, so I can't provide exact yardages. What I would do if you need to determine that, if you don't have any of this stuff laying around, is laying out your pattern pieces once you make them and just measuring how much space it takes up and then multiplying by 2. Keep in mind that the width of fabrics vary. I think usually they are 45 or 60 inches wide. I don't know how it is in countries that do metric. I'm American, so but yeah, the majority of it will be this dark brown faux leather. Again, look at my references and you can notice a contrasting strip of fabric in the front of his gaiters. So what I'm using is a black faux leather. So it'll be a slight difference, but a difference at that. I can't hold the camera because I'm drinking. Getting comfy. For notions, you're going to need 6 larger size buckles, about that big. I have yet to order them because I have to get them online just so they're cheaper. So he has straps, 3 straps going down each leg, and they're attached with buckles, so 3 times 2. You'll also need like 2 small buckles because there is a buckle kind of closer to his heel. You'll also need a bit of elastic. This will be the strap that runs underneath. And also zippers to get in and out. Make sure that it's dark in color. Mine are downstairs. I don't feel like getting them. It's like 11:30. But make sure they're at least dark in color. If you can get them to match your fabric, then that's rad. I'm trying to think if there's anything else you will need. Because the straps are attached the same way a belt would be, I would also recommend tiny itty bitty grommets if you can find them, just it's not real leather that we're using. And I honestly would be paranoid if the hole stretched out or was weakened, because it's not as tough. Yeah, those are the fabrics you'll need. Okay, so I'm back. Same day, got my lipstick on, which is new. Fun stuff. So this is the part of the tutorial where I would have shown you me actually creating the pattern for the gaiters, but I did that before I decided that I was going to do a tutorial. So I will link a tutorial on how to do a boot cover out of duct tape and saran wrap. I use foil, but you know, whatever. So I will link some tutorials for that. The only thing that you need to mark is kind of guess where your zipper should be and draw a line straight down. And then instead of marking around the whole boot, just mark kind of the shape of what you want your gaiter to be. That's it. That's the only changes you have to make to the tutorial that I will provide. Yeah. That's it. Hi. Welcome back. So, you checked out that tutorial that I linked, and you should have this duct tape pattern. This line that is running through it, you can kind of see in green here. I just did that. This is where your zipper placement will be. I just kind of guessed where I wanted it to be and drew that line down my leg before cutting it off. So the next step is to trace it out on paper. I'll do that off camera because that'll be hard. So be right back. Okay, so now that you have your duct tape pattern, you are going to trace it out on some paper. I'm using this really poor quality sketch pad that I don't like. It like tears easily if you erase it, so I use it for small patterns. Sometimes I want to be a little sturdy. You can use wrapping paper. That's super cheap. Just get it at the dollar store. The next thing you want to do is to mark where this line was. So I'm just going to use a ruler. That's about 4 inches from the top and from the bottom. That's like a little less than 3.5. So I will come back and draw that line. So here is our line. The next thing that you want to do is even that out. I probably should have done that before. I'll do that later. This is my sewing box. The next step is you're going to want to determine how wide you want that contrasting strip in the front to be. I kind of just took a soft measuring tape, the right end, soft measuring tape here, and kind of estimated that I want it to be about 3 inches. So it'll be like that. Yeah. And then divide that in two. What was that? Yeah. Divide that in two because you're working with half of your pattern. So 1.5. This seam gauge is really helpful, just because you can set it to any length you want, and it's much easier to mark things. If you don't have one and don't feel like getting one, you can use your measuring tape or your ruler. Doesn't really matter. Since I have no one to hold this for me, I will mark all along the front of the boot. Okay, so you see the curve that I made here. The next marking that you're going to want to make is the seam allowance, and you can see on the curve that I just drew, I extended it up here and at the bottom, and that's to make room for the seam allowance. If it'll help you, you can erase this line here. The way we're going to pattern this is it's just going to be a rectangle, so you don't really have to draw it out. And you can mark your seam allowance much like you marked the inside curve here. So I'm going to go with 5/8 seam allowance. It's a pretty standard seam allowance, so that's what I'm going with. And instead of measuring inwards, we're going to measure away from the pattern, obviously. And just all the way around do that. Okay, so now that you have it traced out, you can see I cleaned up the lines, just to make it easier to see. The next thing you want to do is trace it again onto another sheet of paper. The easiest way, you want to copy all of the lines here. So the easiest way to do that, I'm going back into my sewing box. This is new, by the way. I found it at Five Below, so that's rad. Is to use a tracing wheel. Tracing wheel has these grooves. They don't fully perforate the paper, but they leave really deep indents. And it just makes short work of tracing it. So, since you don't have paperweights, weigh it down with whatever you can. I'm gonna put... Yeah, we're gonna put the sewing box here. We're gonna put this Lush lotion there. Oop. And we're gonna put this roll of duct tape in this corner. And what else? What else can we weigh things down with? Part of my easel. What's there? Pattern weights. I'm professional. So I'm gonna film how I do this. It's pretty easy. Move this back a bit. You just kind of push forcefully down into the paper and kind of wheel away and just trace over the lines. So there you go. It'll show up underneath. Yeah, and then once you're done, you can lift up this top sheet of paper and trace over the little marks that are left. Okay, so now you see that I have 2 copies. If it's hard for you to see the little markings on the paper because they're not super deep, you can use tracing paper instead. and just use that with the tracing wheel as well. Other than that, you can color underneath where these lines are with chalk and kind of DIY your own tracing paper and just trace that on top of another sheet. Yeah. So then with these two pieces of paper, you will cut both of them out on this outside line. So now you have cut out both shoe sort of shapes. The next thing you're going to do is pick whichever one you want and cut along this line. I chose this one. There you go. So this is your base pattern. This will be the inside of the leg and this will be the outside. I also want to note that this piece has all of the seam allowance you will need. This piece, on the other hand, only has seam allowance around here, but in the center lines, there is no seam allowance. It's very easy to add seam allowance to a straight line, even if you like to be precise, like me. All you do is just move this straight edge away from a straight edge on your fabric. That's about it. I will be back in a bit, probably in a few days, to show you how to cut out your pattern in both the lining and the main fabric. So yeah, keep these safe. So that was my tutorial. It was really long. I'm sorry. This is Heather. She's Bucky.
Yes, I'm Bucky. Bucky, no!
Bucky, no! Oh, yeah, I was gonna talk about kind of the progress of what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna do tutorials for everything that I haven't been able to find through Coscom or the RPF forums. So utility belt, shield, and probably Bucky's arm. I'm going to be making it out of foam because all the tutorials are thermoplastic and they're expensive. And I will definitely do a walkthrough of my costume and point out all the changes that I'm making to work on like a female body. So Fella is, you can still use what's cooler than being cool. So you can still follow along and just don't make the changes that I'm making because I'm not shaped like
Chris Evans.
Real life Dorito Chris Evans.
Yeah, real life Dorito Chris Evans.
Do you want your Tumblr on this?
Sure.
Oh, good. Follow us on Tumblr. So my main blog is Galactic Cat. My cosplay blog is Microbabe. You wanna?
Scars and Spectacles.
Yeah, that's about it. There are pups yelling at us. We gotta go work.
They're mad.
Okay, bye.
Bye.